Sure. The president first expressing sympathy for the families. He began his press briefing with a moment of silence. He then went on to say that his administration expected to reveal details about the cause of this crash as quickly as possible. And it's Donald Trump, so he also took some political swipes at his predecessors. Here's what we know at this point. The airplane, an American Airlines subsidiary flight, a Bombardier CRJ 700, a common regional jet, was coming northbound up the Potomac River, which is right between the airport where I am and Washington, D.C. The Black Hawk helicopter is heading south along a corridor reserved for low-flying helicopters. This is a Black Hawk helicopter, as you mentioned, known colloquially as a gold top, painted gold on the top, used primarily for VIP transport. The newly minted Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said within the last hour or so that this was a required annual night evaluation flight flown by what he called a fairly experienced crew, and that the pilots had night vision at their disposal. So there's web camera footage that shows the collision, and it appears to be a clear night. Both aircraft appear to be clearly lit, and we've already gotten some of the chatter from the air traffic control tower, where you can clearly hear the controller telling the helicopter to fly behind the plane, so it's unclear what happened that caused that collision. Now, after the crash, both aircraft went into the Potomac River behind me. Two things to keep in mind: it's been extremely cold here. Much of this river, not far upstream from where we are, is still solid ice. That made the conditions even more difficult. And this is an extremely complex airspace that we are in. Not only do you have commercial aircraft coming and going from here at Reagan National Airport, you also have general aviation flights, and you have helicopters going up and down the river constantly. And not only do you have that traffic, but just on the other side of the river, much of the airspace is restricted. It's the U.S. Capitol. It's the White House. Flights generally don't go over that, so they stick to this narrow corridor along the river. Some pilots describe it as taking off and landing in a canyon. Back to you, Sally and Jamie.
Tell us a little bit more about the investigation, because clearly we don't yet have clarity how this happened.
Yeah, the investigation is now led by the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, very experienced at recreating what happened in these situations. They're going to look at communications between the air traffic control tower here at the airport and the helicopter and the airplane. They're also going to try to find the so-called black boxes, the cockpit voice recorder and the voice data and the flight data recorder. Sorry. Both of those presumably landed in the river. Both of them are equipped to be in environments like that, and as soon as they hit water, they release a ping, so it should not be difficult for them to find. So they'll examine that, looking at those communications between the plane, the tower, and the helicopter. And, of course, they'll look for any mechanical issues as well. President Trump, in his comments, saying that the military would also be involved and the FAA. Not clear whether this will be made more difficult by the fact that the leaders of these organizations, the Department of Transportation, the Pentagon, etc., have all just been in the job for a couple of days. So we'll have to see how the investigation plays out. Sally, Jamie?
Thank you very much, Jim Spellman at the Reagan National Airport.